Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we're taking a look at another Collecta figure, as I love Collecta. If you don't know by now, you should, because they are one of my favorite, if not my favorite, dinosaur producing companies. And today we are taking a look at the Dacentrurus, and it is awesome. This is another species that, in my opinion, hasn't gotten too many figures. I know Terra by Vitat has one out, but this one is by far better than that one. Not to say that one's bad, because it is really nice, but this one overall, in my opinion, is really beautifully done. And again, this is a deluxe figure, so it's a bit larger than a lot of the other standard releases by Collecta. So that gives it yet another thumbs up and some more points in my book, as I do like larger figures. I really love the idea behind this one, having it up on its rear legs. It gives it so much more of a dynamic appearance, and it's something that you don't see too often, especially with this type of a dinosaur. You don't normally see them up on their rear legs like this. So Collecta making this sculpt on two rear legs looks really cool. Again, giving it a little bit of its own unique charm and difference from most of the other figures of species like this. So that again gets yet another plus from me. The overall coloration, it really looks nice. It looks very natural. There's nothing overly flashy about it. It looks very potentially realistic. Some people might say it's dull, but in my opinion it is not dull at all. I think it looks beautiful, and again, like I said, very realistic looking coloration, because I'm not a big fan of the super bright, extremely colorful looking dinosaurs. I feel like especially a herbivore like this would probably be more of a dull coloration as opposed to anything bright and flashy. I could be wrong because nobody really knows, but in my opinion this looks closer to what I would expect than some kind of crazy flashy paint job with super bright stripes or anything like that. I like the darker colorations on my dinosaurs, and this one looks perfect as far as the paint goes. So anyway, let's get a closer look so we can actually see what the sculpt looks like. So starting up here at the head, you can see the entire head sculpt is absolutely beautifully done. There is lots of very minute scales and detail that has been put into the sculpt of the head. I really love the detail around the eye, and the eye itself is painted very nicely and has an absolutely beautiful gloss to it. As I turn it, you can really see the eye shine. Helps to really bring it to life and make it just look really real. You can see the inside of the mouth has the tongue sticking up. Very nice coloration on the inside as well. Very realistic. The beak here on the front is also painted and sculpted very nicely. There are actually different tones of color that you can see on the beak, so that is very cool as well, because I love when companies put different tones of color in their animals. It just really makes them look so much more realistic. The underside of the neck has a very nice reddish coloration, and I definitely dig that as well. Helps to give it a little bit of a striking look, and I'll just assume that maybe this one is a male, and that's maybe something for mating for display. But it looks very nice on the figure. You can see that it's primarily this lighter brown, but there are hints of like a reddish brown, almost a maroon, throughout the body, and that looks very good. Coming down the neck, you can see the plates on the back start to form, and then we get to these big shoulder spikes that are very nicely sculpted and nicely painted. I love that it transitions to this darker coloration on the edge of the actual spikes. Again, I really love when companies do that kind of thing. And then you come down here into the legs. You can see the legs are sculpted beautifully, and they are exactly in the type of position I would expect them to be in, especially with the feet and everything, with it rearing up on its hind legs. This is exactly how I would expect the feet and everything to look, so it's really nicely done, and I really love the paint. You can see some beautiful dry brushing that's been put over it, especially right here on this further away leg there. That dry brushing really brings out the detail and the sculpt and looks beautiful on this figure. Coming up into the stomach, again, you can see all sorts of different size scales, so the overall sculpting of the scale is beautiful. The scales look really nice. These plates on the top also look beautiful, and you can see there are just tons of detail sculpted into the plates on the back, and again, difference in coloration. You can actually see some different tones of darker coloration in the actual plates, so that looks really good as well. As we start to run down the leg, again, you can see that maroon type of a coloration is throughout, with these little stripes here and there, just giving it some variation in color. Beautiful muscle tone here in the hind leg. You can actually see the hip bone a little bit there, not too much, but it is protruding a little bit. Coming down, you can see some very nice calf muscles. Beautiful sculpt and detail, and again, that very nice dry brushing that has been done over the legs and feet just looks so beautiful and really brings out the detail. It's just absolutely awesome the way they've done that. And the nails are painted very nicely as well, no sloppiness. The overall foot sculpts look fantastic. And then coming up, and you can see the plates again, just look beautiful as they run the whole length of the tail. And the sculpting of the detail on the tail as well looks really nice. And then we get to the spikes here on the end of the tail, and they look very good as well. Beautiful variation of color in them also, and it's just absolutely fantastic the way it's been sculpted. It just looks so beautiful, so striking. Even with such a dull color, I think it looks very striking, and overall is just a fantastic looking figure. Same deal on this side of the face, that beautiful gloss to the eye. You can see it shine as I turn it. And overall, the detail is primarily the same. There's not too much as far as a difference in sculpt. This leg here is up a little higher than the other one, but it still looks really, really nice. And then this leg is in a slightly different position, just to give it a little bit of a difference. Gives it more character, in my opinion. It's not exactly the same. It's not kind of like a stick figure where the body parts are exactly in the same spots. They are in different positions, as they probably wouldn't be exactly in the same spot. So that's very nice attention to detail, and gives it that extra bit of realism. Looking at the upper part of the back, again, even between the plates, the detail is sculpted very, very nicely. And if we go to the underside, same deal, absolutely fantastic detail sculpted everywhere. And with Collecta, we get the cloaca as well. So I love that they always include that, because it just makes it so much more realistic. As far as the size goes, from the tail to the head, you are looking at almost 10 inches or about 25 centimeters. And for a height from the ground to the top of the head, about 6 inches almost on the dot, or about 15 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, and since this Decentrurus is a little tired, the T-Rex is giving it a nice place to put its head and use its tongue as a pillow. But you can get a pretty good idea there of the size of the Decentrurus next to the Tyrannosaurus Rex, as it's not a small figure, definitely pretty darn big, and that's normally the case with these Collecta Deluxe figures, and it is no different with this figure either. It looks beautiful, and at the same time is a very, very nicely sized figure. So a funny story about this figure is this was one of the very first figures that actually really drew me to Collecta when I first discovered this. There were primarily 3 different figures that I can say that I saw before I was really like, okay, I really need to start buying some Collecta figures. And that would be the Diplodocus, this one, and the Plateosaurus. And as soon as I had seen those figures, I was like, wow, Collecta makes some absolutely unbelievable looking figures, but I have to get them and see them in person to really be able to tell if they are that nice. And with the Plateosaurus, it actually took me a very long time, because back then I was really new to getting into the collecting game as far as dinosaurs go, and the only place I really knew where to buy it was on Amazon, and the prices were kind of stupid on there. They were a little high, so it took me a while before I found one, and actually caved and ended up paying like 20 bucks for the Plateosaurus, which is way more than I should have. But again, back then I wasn't very knowledgeable as to where I could purchase them. Regardless, once I got this one, the Diplodocus and the Plateosaurus, I was sold, and I have been in love with Collecta ever since. So this figure itself really holds a special place in my heart, simply because it's one of the figures that really sold me on Collecta in the first place, and I am very thankful just to this figure for helping do that, as I love Collecta, and the fact that I was able to start collecting those figures really boils down to this one and those other 2 drawing me to them in the first place. So kudos to this figure for that. Either way, again, this figure is fantastic. I have been in love with it since I first saw it. The detail, sculpt, everything looks really, really nice. The paint overall looks beautiful as well. Very realistic looking, and I just love this figure so much. So if you are interested in purchasing one, and I completely recommend it, go ahead and check the description, as I will throw a link in there where you can go purchase this guy on everythingdinosaur.com, and you will not in any way, shape, or form regret buying this, as it is fantastic. So go ahead and do that. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.